Good evening, and welcome to the PvA Nightly Rundown. I'm your host, Luke Croft, and this is the nightly gaming news show where I run you through all of the gaming news that you may have missed throughout the day so that you don't look like a freaking idiot at the water cooler tomorrow. Hope everybody had a fantastic, what I believe is Tuesday today. I'm on vacation this week, so my days are all kinds of thrown off, but it is Tuesday. We got a lot of great news. Tuesday, July 16th. Today marks the 1 year anniversary of me being with my marketing company, which is crazy. Time flies when you're having fun, man. So really cool stuff. And I'm spending that anniversary in the best way possible by not being at work. And I've just been chilling all day. Met with my brother-in-law this morning to talk about the best way for us to move our washer and dryer upstairs. Some real adult kind of shit going on over here at the Croft household. But hope everybody else's Tuesday is going fantastically. Whether you are on vacation, whether you are you had to work today. But that's not what we're here for tonight, guys. Tonight we're here for gaming news. But before we jump into that, do just want to hit on some housekeeping. If you're hanging out over here on Twitch, stick around because at the end of the show, we'll start doing our final placement matches for this season in Overwatch. And we actually had a pretty good night last night. We went 4-1, which felt real good. So we'll try to wrap those up tonight. Also, with my week off, I decided I'm really going to focus on content for the website and working on getting our YouTube channel in a state where it's kind of easy to interact with the show in more meaningful with segments that are more meaningful to you. So, every night we do a 1 hour show where we run through everything that you may have missed throughout the day. And if that's your speed, you want to get caught up on that sort of stuff, hop on over. We're still going to upload the entire video for you to watch straight through. That's still going to be there for you. But I also recognize that there's a lot of people who, like tonight, we're going to be talking about the Overwatch League. There may be some of you who don't care about the Overwatch League, but you want to hear the conversation that we're going to have around GameStop or something like that. And so you can go to our YouTube channel, which is now looking like this. And you'll have our videos listed, obviously, but you can go to playlists now. And we're going to have a playlist for every single episode for you. So that'll include the full episode as well as whatever segments we decide to break out. It may not be every single segment because there was a couple last night where we just didn't have a ton to talk about. And I don't want to include a story that's really just me reading somebody else's story because I don't think that's right. I want it to be segments that I have meaningful commentary on. So you'll be able to hop over here and check these out if you miss anything of the show. And as always, guys, thumbs upping, subscribing, commenting, and sharing, all really huge deals and go a long way in helping people to find the show. I'm really proud of the content that we make over here, not just me, but the guys at PvA Radio as well. And, we're putting a concerted effort in now to produce more content, to produce easier to digest content, and to produce more kinds of content that you guys want to see. And podcasting is my background. It's, Cody and Larry have been doing it for a while now. Larry's been doing it as long as I have. And so this is our preferred medium, but, we're going to figure out other ways to deliver meaningful stuff to you as well. But all that's going to be available the very next morning. We've got these dope ass thumbnails now, which I'm still trying to. We've made the PvA Nightly logo a little bit bigger, so that you'll be able to read that for this next episode. And I'm still workshopping this thumbnail as well. But a lot of cool stuff in the works. You may be like, Luke, why are you working on vacation? This is the kind of work that brings me massive amounts of joy, guys. If I could snap my fingers and this be what I do full time, I'd do it in a heartbeat. And it's not the idea of like being known on YouTube or having a following or anything like that. Like I get a ton of joy out of just sitting down and doing the show. That's why even on nights where there's not a ton of people who stop by in the chat, like I still have a lot of fun doing this. And it refreshes me, recharges me, brings me a lot of joy. And the goal is to someday allow this to support me and bring other people in as well, especially on the website side. Our website has been sparse in terms of actual written content, right? So for those of you who don't know, I run a website. It's called playerversusall.com. I'm going to turn night mode off so you can actually see what this looks like. But this is the website. It looks pretty good. It's still a work in progress, and I have some organizational things that I want to do. But if you notice, like, everything is just us sharing out our podcast. My heart is in writing. I've always loved writing. I was a copywriter at a content marketing firm. I interviewed for a copywriter job and ended up becoming a marketing manager where I am now. I've written content in the gaming space for Twinfinite and other outlets, freelancing for quite a while now. I wonder if this thing exists still. So I wrote for, I think it was on GameSpresso. GameSpresso Madden History. Yeah, it's still here. And it has my name on it still. Yeah. I've been taken out of the system, so it just says freelance editor right here, but I asked them to include my name. It also doesn't have the original, any of the original photography, it looks like, but this was one of the very first pieces that I wrote. This was back in October 2015, so I've been doing this for almost 4 years, I guess. No, because I did a stint at another outlet right before GameSpresso. So yeah, it's probably close to 5 years now. Anyway, put together this really long piece, the most influential features in Madden history, and like chased down some shit here. They've taken the images out. It all looks really shitty, but yeah, I'm really proud of this piece, and this is the kind of content we want to start doing more of over on playerversusall.com. So be on the lookout for more of that as it's coming down the pipeline, because there will be more, and it won't just be me. Cody will be contributing, Larry will be contributing, and then the goal is to grow it to the point where we have some other people contributing as well. So all right, guys, enough of that. Enough housekeeping. Let's jump. This is the PvA Nightly Rundown, and one of the things that makes this show unique over our other show, PvA Radio, is that we do a lot of chat interaction. So if you're hanging out over here on Twitch and there's a story that you want to give your 2 cents on, we definitely encourage that. We welcome that. And so as we're going through here, feel free to chat along with us. If you want to change the topic. So that's it for housekeeping. Let's jump into it with games that released today. And let me turn night mode back on so that I don't get blinded. There we go. I've got this awesome extension on Google called Dark Reader. You can just turn dark and light mode on and off. I need to set up the filters because there's some sites that I don't like. I get 2 cents back. I got bills to pay. Yeah, let's see. Hold on. Let's try this. Let me see if this still works. There you go. There you go, my friend. Just kidding, my dude. How are you doing? Sorry I couldn't make it to game night. Actually, somebody who I hadn't seen in forever texted me and was like, yo, I want to stop by. And so yeah, ended up having somebody over at the house for a little bit, but we had to get the house straight in order to do that. So that was the majority of my afternoon. So sorry about that. I'm going to try to make the next one, and I'm going to try to drag Ben along too. I know you said you've had a hard time getting it to him. So we'll try to come. Hopefully you guys had a really good time. You're also not really banned from the chat. Anybody can do that. Just exclamation point ban followed by literally anything. Oh, got a core group of 6. Nice. So what happens if like you have 12 people show up? Do you guys split off and play 2 different games, or do you have games that can support that many people? So Mad Brock does a game night or like a game afternoon, every board game afternoon every month. So he's been inviting me, and I keep not showing up and feeling bad about it. We had 15 one time. We had 3 to 4 games going. Nice. Well, sweet. Well, let's jump over here. Today is Tuesday, July 16th. Here are the games that released today. We had Mustache Amigos on Xbox One. Also, as we're going through this list, if any of these strike your interest and you're like, I'd really love to see a trailer for that, just let me know. We'll pull one up. So, Mustache Amigos on Xbox One. We had Lost Orbit Terminal Velocity on Xbox One and PC. Distrust coming out on Switch. Let's Sing 2019 on Switch and PC. Forklift The Simulation on Switch. Defend the Keep on PC. Shrine of the God Ape on PC, Atrium on PC and Mac, Kill Squad on PC, The Last Aura on PC and Mac, Moi Mei on PC, Nightmare Reaper on PC, and Summer Catchers on PC. As always, whenever I see something that's clearly horror, I always want to look up a trailer for it. So we're going to look up, we're going to jump over to the YouTubes and we're going to look up Nightmare Reaper. Also, every night when we do the games releasing today, we get that from the Week in Games over on Kotaku. They publish it every single Monday morning with a rundown of everything that's coming to both consoles and PC. So that game was called Nightmare Reaper. Nightmare Reaper game trailer. All right, here we go. It's a reveal trailer from Blazing Bit Games. Oh, it's like a old school 3D dungeon shooter. That's like frenetic and not a horror game at all. Very Doom-esque. This looks pretty dope. There's a guy that I watch who streams a lot of games like this, so I wonder if this is something that he'll be picking up. Also, drinking some Earl Grey tea tonight. And it's very sweet. I poured some stevia in it. My wife wanted some, so I poured a little bit of stevia in, and like, you know how when you're drinking a cup of ice and there's like a bunch of ice at the bottom? Anyway, there's Nightmare Reaper. And you know, you're drinking it and you're like trying to just get one thing of ice to come your way, but then it's like, hold, everybody, hold, attack. That's what the sugar did tonight. I was like shaking it, or the stevia. I was shaking it, like nothing was coming, and then all of a sudden, everything. Initial 2 new stage launched on Xbox today. I am not sure what that is. Initial 2 new stage. I'm never sure how much to trust this Kotaku list now, because last week there was a horror game called Lust for Darkness that released on the Switch that was not included on the Kotaku list. So I don't know if he goes and does it at the beginning of the week and never revisits it if something, you know, comes up. But here we go. Initial 2 new stage trailer. All right, so this game came out on Steam a while ago, it appears. But let's check this trailer out. Has a real Nier Automata vibe. This actually looks really cool. Is this a game you're into, Mad Brock? Is that why you knew it was coming out and it wasn't included on that list? This is pretty sweet. Because if this is a game you're into and you have not played Nier Automata, you need to play Nier Automata. It's a fantastic game. No, you just pulled up the new releases on the store. Okay. Well, there's a lot of distrust flying around for Kotaku's list here. We're going to continue to use it because it's the most comprehensive list I've been able to find thus far without having to go to each individual store and get a list together. Yeah. Also, how's the mic quality? I noticed last night it was clipping quite a bit, so I've turned the gain down. These cardioid mics you have to talk like directly into in order for them to pick you up, and so when I'm like have my head turned this way or head turned that way, I know there's some fade, so I'm trying to be conscious about keeping it forward. The Xbox trailer had more story in it, very anime. Yeah, man. That just made me want to go back and play Nier, which is a great game. Great game. All right, guys. Well, let us move on to our news stories. First story on the list: Ubisoft Uplay Plus has revealed every single game that will be launching on it when it launches on September 3rd. This story is from Chaim Gartenberg over at The Verge. It says Ubisoft has revealed the list of its initial game lineup for its upcoming Uplay Plus PC gaming service ahead of its September 3rd launch, with a surprisingly deep lineup of titles that look to leverage Ubisoft's biggest franchises, like Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and the seemingly endless number of Tom Clancy games. To that end, included in the 100 plus titles that Ubisoft will be offering is what looks like every single Assassin's Creed game ever released on PC, most of the Far Cry series, and more notably, it's not just the back catalog. It's not just the back catalog either. Recent releases like Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Far Cry New Dawn are on the list too. Also, there are yet to be released titles like Gods and Monsters, Rainbow Six Quarantine, and Watch Dogs Legion, which Ubisoft promises will be available on Uplay Plus at or before their respective launch dates. So I'm not going to read every game on this list because it's over 100 games long, but I'm just going to scroll through here. So you've got the Anno games, you've got including the newly released 1800, and notice that these are all like the deluxe edition, ultimate edition. So this isn't like you can play this in our vault and then you can purchase the DLCs for it. But yeah, all the Assassin's Creed games, Beyond Good and Evil, Brothers in Arms, Child of Light, all the Far Cry games. Let's see, what else? All the Might and Magic games, which I don't know about, but there seems to be a ton of them. Monopoly Plus, all of the Prince of Persia games, which I'm sure Larry and Cody will both be excited about. We have the Rayman games, Silent Hunter, both South Park games. Not on here are the Splinter Cell games. Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, they are. There they are. Tom Clancy Splinter Cell is on here. Rainbow Six, both Rainbow Six Vegases, which are both awesome games. The Settlers 1 through 7, The Crew 1 and 2, the 3 Trials games, Uno, Valiant Hearts, Watch Dogs. So yeah, tons and tons of games on this. This is an awesome value. At $15 a month to get this entire back catalog and also brand new releases, like I don't know. In this Verge article, he goes on to talk about, like, here it is. The biggest question though is whether all of this is worth $14.99 per month, a fairly expensive price compared to EA Origin Access, which is $4.99 per month or $30 per year, or Microsoft's Xbox Game Pass, which costs $9.99 but includes both console and PC games, which, in my opinion, well, not in my opinion. First of all, EA and Origin Access, yes, they are $4.99 a month, but I think that Origin Access Premier, the one where you can play like the newest games, right, is $15. Pretty sure it's either $12 or $15. And that's to play, like, you know, your Battlefield 5s and any of the newer releases from EA. And the Vault, I don't think, has over 100 games in it for EA either. You know, you've got like your Mass Effects, you've got your Dead Spaces, you've got a backlog of some stuff, but not nearly the size of this list. And so, in order to get the immediate game access for new releases, it's still going to be $15 for EA. The Xbox Game Pass comparison makes a little bit more sense, but how many games are really coming day and date to Xbox Game Pass outside of games that are already exclusive to Microsoft? Which may prove a better value as we move on and like this new stable of studios start releasing things. But I don't know. I think this is a deal, man. $15, especially if you're into like Assassin's Creed or Far Cry, like into these major series where there's just this backlog of games, like all these Tom Clancy games in here, all the old school Rainbow Six, the Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter is missing from me, which I don't know if that ever had a PC release, but those were awesome games that aren't included. Both Rainbow Six Vegases are great. Ghost Recon Future Soldier is another really good one. So I don't know. This is a steal. 100 games for $15 a month, and then you can play all these new releases that are coming. Why would you not do this? We are reaching a tipping point, right? Like we are with streaming services for television shows and movies, where since everybody has their own and you're split out to find all the content that you want, you're gonna have to pay for a bunch of streaming services or pay for cable. It's getting to the point where it's the same, it equals the same amount. I think games are a little different though, right? Especially if you're somebody who plays 20, 30 new games a year. Maybe not even, maybe they're not all full $60 releases, but if you're playing enough games a year, then paying $15 a month, $30 a month, like for a couple of these streaming services, I think it's just totally worth it. Like, why would you not do that? So I don't know. I'm here for these for the streaming future. I do think it may get a little out of hand, especially when companies with smaller catalogs are going to try to do it, or companies who will try to do it but really gate their brand new content behind some sort of other level. But I don't think we're quite there yet. But I could definitely see us getting there easily. But yeah, you can go check this out if you type !show notes in the chat. You can find a link to all the stories that we use, and then you can click on this list and read through all these games. But it looks like probably about 90% of what you would expect to be on here is on here, if not more. So, all right, guys, let's move on. Next story on the list. Woke up to this news today. Published at 8 a.m. over at The Verge. We're using The Verge a lot today. Blizzard explains how home and away games will work in the Overwatch League for the 2020 season. This is from Andrew Webster. It says, for the 2020 season, Blizzard's Overwatch League is moving to a home and away format, much like a traditional sports league. However, while we've known this was the ultimate aim for the league, it hasn't been clear how exactly it would actually work, particularly given the Overwatch League's global nature with teams spread across the world. But today, Blizzard finally provided some details on what its city-based esports league will look like. Quote, next year is really when we start to run, end quote. This is John Spector, Senior Product Director of the Overwatch League. So I'm not going to read all the details here. I'm just going to kind of give you the rundown of what this looks like. It is not like a home and away format of a traditional sports league, right? So in a traditional sports league, if you see a game that's like the Charlotte Hornets versus the Boston Celtics, one of those teams traveled to one of those cities and they will be playing in that city. That is not the way that it's going to work. That was the way it was always speculated that it was going to work. I think it's the ultimate aim of the Overwatch League as we're moving forward and as it grows. But that is not the way it's going to work. Instead, what they're going to do is they're going to split the league into 4 divisions. And they're going to have homestand weekends each weekend, where a collection of teams will come to one city and play against one another, very similar to how they've done it in Atlanta. And away team gets random lag. Similar to how they've done in Atlanta, how they did in Dallas, and how they're going to be doing in LA later this year. It'll be a collection of teams traveling to one place each week. And so teams are going to have at least 2 of these 2-day homestands, and some, such as the Dallas Fuel, will host as many as 5. So every city around the world that has an Overwatch League team will get to host at least 2 of these cities. Also, let me take a sweatshirt hanging on the back. So all these cities are going to be able to host it, which is really exciting, right? Because up until now, outside of the 2 weekends where they've traveled and last year's grand finals, which were in New York, every single weekend of the Overwatch League is taking place in LA. The reason I even got into the Overwatch League and really into esports in general is because this was a model that I understood, right? Like a team attached to a city, I could easily pick which team I wanted to root for and stick with them. That was franchise based. There's no relegation. There's no trying to play in. There's a lot of turnover in players, but for the most part, like, it was structured in a way that I understood. And then I got more and more excited about this prospect of like, oh man, some of these may be close to me. And I originally wanted to. I was originally planning on going to the Atlanta homestand, but some stuff happened, and actually, the disorganization of the release of the tickets was a big factor. The 2 day passes for that thing sold out insanely quickly, and I was like trying to get a group of adults with a bunch of other responsibilities together to go, and it just took us too long to figure out what our plan would be before going and before purchasing the tickets, and we didn't get the chance. Um, but so I look at this and I'm really excited because it means I've got 2 opportunities at least to go to DC to watch, 2 opportunities to go to Atlanta at least and watch, two opportunities to maybe go all the way up to Philly and check it out. You know, there's going to be chances for me to go and to see teams play, which is really exciting. And so the original thought was that they were going to move to a completely traditional model, right? Where teams would play, if it was, you know, Chengdu versus London, that Chengdu would fly to London and play versus London, and then maybe hop over to Paris to play a game later in the week or something like that. I still think that's the ultimate goal, but I think it's a lofty goal. I think with it being a global league, I don't know how much it makes sense to make that the goal. Player burnout, travel expenses are all going to be insanely ridiculous. But there are some quotes here I want to pull out. Spectre says, quote, "The homestands this year were explicitly designed as a test and an opportunity to learn. The initial feedback on the model has been nothing but positive, and we feel really good about moving forward with it into next year," end quote. So they also announced the divisions in the conferences. So your Pacific Conference, your Eastern Division is going to be obviously Chengdu, Guangzhou, Hangzhou, Seoul, and Shanghai. So all of the Asia-based teams are going to be playing in the Eastern Division, and then you're going to have the American Western teams in the Western Division: Dallas, Gladiators, Valiant, San Francisco, and Vancouver. And then your Atlantic South are going to be Atlanta, Florida, Houston, Philly, Washington, D.C. Then your Northern Divisions are going to be Boston, London, New York, Paris, Toronto. So the events are going to be divided equally among those 4 divisions, so that it's not like, oh, each of the Asia-based teams are going to get 2 weekends, and then each of the Western American-based teams are going to get 5 weekends, something like that. So there's going to be 52 homestand events next year. So it'll be that there's one taking place in the Western and one taking place in the Atlantic, if I understand correctly. And a quarter of those are going to be in Asia markets. So I don't know, man. It's lofty, but it's really cool, and I think it's going to create a lot of engagement. And I think the whole point of this was like, look, like Philly's building their own arena for this, right? And I think that because of that, they're probably going to get a lot of weekends to do it. But there's going to be other teams that are playing in arenas that host other kinds of events as well. And I think for them, they were approaching it and saying like, okay, how many games can we realistically expect to sell out in Atlanta every year? How many games can we really expect to sell out in Vancouver every year, right? Like, these are big cities, big markets with probably big fan bases. But at the end of the day, like, it would be unreasonable to think, okay, well, these teams play, let's see, there's 7 games per, so there's 7 games per stage, 4 stages. That's 28 stages plus the playoffs, right? So at least 14 games. You're asking these guys to say, can you sell your stadiums out at least 14 times every single year? And I don't think Overwatch is that popular yet. And I'm a huge Overwatch fan. I'm a huge Overwatch League fan. I just don't think that Overwatch is at the point where every city can sustain 14 games trying to sell out an arena. I don't even know if they could get to 80% tickets sold, depending on the size of the venue, right? Now, if you're at a smaller venue with like 1,500 seats or whatever, maybe, but that's not the goal here. I mean, look at this picture from the Dallas Fuel Weekend. Massive, and they sold out. They sold out both days. And I don't think it would be reasonable to expect teams to be able to do that 14 times a year. And I don't think it's reasonable to expect these players to fly all around the world. So I think this is a natural stepping stone, and I honestly think that this is where the Overwatch League is going to settle as well. that they're going to continue with these homestand weekends, make it an event when they come to town. And so the way that it'll work is that the team that's hosting is responsible for all of like the fan engagement and getting people into the arena, while the Overwatch League is going to handle all the production. And I think this will be cool because you'll basically have an entire day, 2 entire days of Overwatch League, right? So you'll have like your early morning, Atlantic Conference games, and then your late at night Pacific Conference games. And so I don't know. I just think it creates an entire a great culture of like, hey, we play these games on the weekends, and we're going to get the local people excited, but we're not going to have unreasonable expectations of all of these owners trying to fill the seats. And you also got to think about the amount of talent that they would have to hire in order to handle that, because you have games going on simultaneously, and you would have to say like, okay, well, they probably would need to double their casters at least. They would need to have multiple analyst desks for the beginning of matches and things like that. It would have to look a lot like the NBA production or an MLB production, where each team has their own, talent, sideline reporters, analysts, those sorts of things. And I just think that it wasn't a realistic goal, and I think this is much more realistic. So I read this and at first was a little like, oh man, I was hoping to see an actual home and away schedule. But the more I've thought about it, the more I'm like, hey, this seems sustainable. And Overwatch League's viewership has been kind of hurting, but they still have great sponsors, and I still think that there's a lot of fan engagement and excitement around it. So also Thursday, there's going to be a big event for the Overwatch League where they're going to, announce some changes coming to Stage 4, including the 222 lock. I'm not going to jump into all that right now because we're already in the weeds about Overwatch League, and I know that not that many people that tune in or watch over on YouTube are probably into it, but I am. I'm excited about this. No longer disappointed in this news. So, well, let's stick into the Overwatch universe, but moving on from the league and going on to the game. The new Overwatch Summer Games event was announced today, including bringing back Lucio Ball. This is from Jordan Ramey over on GameSpot. It says the annual limited time Summer Games event has returned to Overwatch. The event continues until early August, offering 3 weeks of challenges to complete new cosmetics. 3 weeks of challenges to complete. New cosmetics to unlock, and the return of a beloved arcade mode. The Summer Games have been divided into 3 segments this year, with the challenges to complete during each week. Every week offers the same 3 challenges: win 3 games, win 6 games, and win 9 games. The rewards for each week are outlined below, and you can see them here. Their sprays, their icons, and then they ultimately end in one of the epic skins. So we'll take a look at these skins, but let's talk about the structure. This is the first time they've adopted this kind of structure for an event. It's always been really loot box based, right? And trying to get people to purchase loot boxes in order to get the legendary skins. And they're still obviously leaning into that, but this is very, not exactly along the lines of like how Fortnite and stuff does it, but these kind of like weekly challenges, right? Encouraging fans to be engaged, encouraging players to be engaged, jump into the game, start it up. And these are across any mode, right? So you can just play quick play, get your 9 wins. I think you can get arcade mode wins, and it counts towards your win 9 games for this. So it keeps players coming back, because there's also a lot of players who have a bunch of loot boxes in store, and they wait for events so that they can get all the coins to stack up and buy it. So kind of adopting this method to get people engaged. But let's take a look at these skins. Let's see if we can pull. Yeah. I don't have the names for these skins pulled up. I think I can. Quick, let's see. Overwatch Summer Skins, so that I can get the names for these right. I'm gonna pull up I'm not gonna use the .esports ones to show you just because they don't have it in a gallery. But this is from .esports. From Liz Richardson. So this Genji skin that we're seeing right here is the Kendoka Genji skin. Genji is outfitted in padding and protective wear to practice kendo, a traditional martial art. So I think that this is just an epic skin. I don't think this is a legendary skin. And this one's pretty cool. I don't know. I think there's a theme around these that they don't feel very summer to me. I guess this one is more like fencing is an Olympic game, and this kind of looks like fencing garb, and so they're kind of leaning into that possibly. But for a skin, it's cool. It just doesn't really feel very summer to me. Here's our next one. This one is Lucio Ball Wrecking Ball. I like this one because it looks like he's got super soakers. It looks like water guns that he's using on the ends here. And is he the ball from Lucio Ball? Is that what this is supposed to be? Let's see. Lucio. Because if so, I really like that. Okay. Yeah, you can tell. So let me just pull this over here. Images. So yeah, this is the Lucio ball. And you can tell that when he curls up, all these lines connect and create that same pattern over there. So yeah, that skin's pretty cool. Next one. This is the best one, guys. This is the Torbjorn skin. What are they calling this one? Also, Monka TOS on this. Surf and Splash Torbjorn. Here's the description from Esports. Even an engineer deserves a day at the beach. In this truly wild skin, Torbjorn puts on his bathing suit and accessorizes with everything necessary to enjoy the summer. So there's a lot of speculation about who Torbjorn is married to or who he has had a kid with. And this image right here just goes to show you it can be literally anyone, man. This dude's a stud muffin. Also, for the first time ever, I feel very represented in this game. Just check out these fat rolls right here. Is my cursor being captured on the screen? If not, Speedo trunks. Look, it's like those. Well, I'm wearing some like pretty high shorts right now. Not to Monka TOS or anything. Pretty high soccer shorts here. But yeah, he's got these fat rolls chilling out here, and I'm like, hey man, I got fat rolls too, and maybe someday I myself can be a turret building engineer as well. And then he's got these cool castles, you know, the little sand castle molds here at the top. This is a great skin. This is a summer skin. This is what I expect to see. But yeah, nice fat rolls chilling out right there. Next one. Then you know, Hanzo has to come in and show everybody up. This is the dude coming out onto the beach and like just running in slow motion. He's eventually going to let his hair down, you know, let all the ladies. But what are they calling this one? This one is Wave Hanzo. While his brother gets some sword practice in, Hanzo seems to be hitting the beach. Only Hanzo could possibly combine fisherman aesthetics with summertime fashion. Even his tattoos seem to be updated to a more aquatic design. I actually did not notice that. Can I zoom in on these? I don't know if I can zoom in. Nah, it just makes the viewer smaller. But I don't know. I'm not a real big Hanzo player. He's got these, you know, sea shoes on as well. He's got his little Nalgene bottle right here so that he stays hydrated at the beach. At least he's taking care of himself. I can't tell what these. It just looks like waves. I don't know if there's anything else in these tattoos. I think there's some fish up here possibly. So, yeah, that one's pretty cool. Not better than the Torbjorn skin. I didn't notice this one when I was clicking through. You can get your American pride on, guys, with the new American Reaper. Independence Day was a few weeks ago, but Reaper is still going to shoot off some fireworks. The race's normal black uniform has been upgraded to full red, white, and blue to reflect his American heritage. So I was out at Target on Independence Day, which, if you guys need to go to Target and you hate crowds, go on the 4th of July. Seriously, there was nobody there. It was awesome. But we're there, and there was this dude walking around in a onesie, in a USA onesie. He had to have been my age, maybe like a year or two younger. In a onesie around the same size as me, maybe a little smaller, with it like zipped down to the crotchio region, just wide open, just right across his, like just his nips covered. Mad Brock says that's a sweet skin, looks like a comic character, and I think that's what this guy in Target was trying to go for too, thinking he was looking like some badass comic book character. But yeah, he just had it unzipped like all the way down to basically the top of the waistband of his boxers, and that's what this Reaper skin reminds me of. It also kind of looks like a oh, let me put it back up here. Looks like an Evil Knievel skin. Like he's about to hop on a dirt bike and try to jump over, a bunch of trucks that are on fire, something like that. But no, it's pretty cool. I'm not really big on like American garb and like the flag aesthetic or anything like that. It's not because I'm not patriotic or anything. It's just I don't know. Red, white, and blue. It's not my thing. Then we've got this skin. This is what do they call it? This is just another epic skin. I think this is one you can unlock. This is Bundle Saddler Reinhardt, a proud German through and through. It's Reinhardt's turn to get a patriotic skin. His normally gray armor has been detailed with yellow and red to reflect the colors of the German flag. So this one's tight. I mean, it's very Reinhardt-esque. You can tell this is only an epic skin, not a legendary one. It's not really a complete rework of a skin, really just a recoloring. But yeah, you've got the cool German flag aesthetic going on here, and then his classic lion on the wristband. Let's go to our next one. So this one is, I'm gonna mispronounce this and I apologize. Zanguo Mei. The theme of the epic skin available during the Summer Games event seems to be country pride. Mei, who hails from China, sports a red and gold outfit that matches the Chinese flag. This isn't such a wild idea, considering other characters have skins that reflect their heritage, such as Sombra's Mexicana and Brigitte's Trey Connor. So yeah, they're really sticking with this kind of like national pride aesthetic, and the Summer Games is always built around like the Olympics. Lucio Ball was an Olympic game, and so it's cool that they're leaning on that as well. But I don't know. Overall, I'd probably rate these skins at a B minus. I think there's some really good ones. I think the Genji skin's cool. I think the Torbjorn skin is awesome. And then, I mean, I guess the Hanzo one's pretty cool. The Reaper one's okay. But yeah, the others don't really move me all that much. So yeah, B minus, maybe a C plus. Let me know in the chat what you guys would rate those skins in comparison. I think, when you start thinking about like Cookout Soldier is a really good summer skin. I can't think of any of the others off the top of my head, but yeah, we'll go B minus. B minus. Right, next story on our list. GameStop is going to be trialing some new store concepts. This is from John Wilds over at IGN. So it says it's no secret that GameStop has had a rough few years financially. They saw a third quarter loss of nearly $500 million last November, even after selling Sprint Mobile for a cool $700 million. Recently, it had to stop searching for a new buyer, with its stocks plummeting by over 25%. Obviously, something needs to change, and today GameStop announced that its new business saving strategy is turning stores into, quote, unique experiences, end quote. The new direction is part of a partnership with colossal marketing company RGA and revolves around GameStop's long-held desire to, quote, reaffirm its place in video game culture, end quote. Quote, together, GameStop and RGA are developing and piloting new and streamlined physical store concepts, introducing new ways for gamers to try new titles before they buy them, end quote. Read the announcement before going on to say that unique store concepts that offer things like, quote, competitive sessions and homegrown e-leagues to locations that sell strictly retro gaming software and hardware, end quote, are just some of the ideas that they're going to trial in new concept stores. So, full disclosure, I used to work at GameStop. I don't own any like stock in GameStop or anything like that. And I spoke freely about my experience at GameStop while I was working there, and I'll continue to speak freely about GameStop now that I'm not working there. I don't even put that I worked at GameStop on my resume because I'm like, this experience doesn't matter. But I spent, 9 months working there, so almost a year, worked my way up to an assistant manager position. And it was a poorly run company, right? And I don't think that comes as a shock to anybody. But it's clear that something has to change, right? Like even when I was there, they were hemorrhaging cash on big pre-orders. They were losing out behind the market on digital game sales. They weren't really, adapting with how rapidly the gaming industry was changing, and it's taking an even further step in both subscription based model of game sales. Talking about Uplay Plus earlier in the show, and then you've got Xbox Game Pass, EA Access, all kinds of things where people can just pay a monthly fee, download their games, and never have to step foot in a physical store. Like they're going to have to figure out ways to generate foot traffic. And so when I was working there, the strategy was we need to increase our trade-ins, we need to increase our used game sales, we need to increase our pre-orders, and then we need to increase our collectible sales, our non like gaming item sales. And so, GameStop owns ThinkGeek, and they converted a lot of their stores, including the one that I worked at, into a half and half store, which means half of the floor space is dedicated to gaming, half of the store space is dedicated to memorabilia. I would argue that it's probably more 70-30 memorabilia to games ratio, but they call it half and half, or 50-50 stores. And so that was their strategy, right? But it was short-sighted. If we get people to trade in games and then pre-order more games, yada, yada, yada. But the problem is that, like, at a point when people stop buying physical games, there are going to be no games for people to trade in. So I worked there in 2016. So that was 3 years after the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One came out. I would still say probably 70% of our business was on PS3 and Xbox 360. And that was because I worked in a poor area. The town I'm from isn't necessarily like rolling in the dough or anything like that. But I live in a poor neighborhood, and a large portion of the revenue that was being generated was off of game sales for the PS3 and Xbox 360. I would say the average amount for a trade-in when somebody brought in games was less than $10. And for a lot of these people, whatever they traded in, that was the money that they were going to spend in the store. They weren't going to spend a dime more. And so the model just never felt right in what I was aware of being a completely changing market, in that I, had been covering games and seeing that digital was starting to take hold and more people were going that way. Like what GameStop was doing was unsustainable. Even the new direction that they were trying to set was unsustainable. And for the most part, people didn't care about the collectible shit that was. I remember, like, we had a Death Star waffle iron. We had like $400 statues that we had in display cases and stuff like that. We had like a replica Captain America shield that was a few $100s. I'm like, guys, we are selling $3 pre-owned copies of Halo 3. I have people who are buying NBA 2K12 still. Like, and look, it's no judgment about people. Like, play what you can afford to play and enjoy what it is that you're playing. But the fact of the matter is like, if you looked at the average sales we were making, it made no sense to convert our store to say like, oh man, well, here's a $25 PlayStation desk light. It's like, people aren't going to spend their money on this shit. If they have $25 to spend in this store, they are going to spend it on video games or possibly pop figures, but they're not going to buy this knickknack shit. And so it made no sense to me, right? At the time I was working there, it was when they started doing retro game trade-ins too. They had started it just as like a test among a couple stores, but then they started allowing more and more stores to do it. But we weren't allowed to turn around and sell games that were traded. We had to send them back to the Rock. They had to get tested, and then they would get distributed to other stores that actually sold the used games, or you could order them online for your customers. But I was like, look, there are people around here who would love to be able to buy N64 games or Game Boy Advance games or PlayStation 1 games. Like, now, all that being said, I like this direction that they're, because they understand, like, hey, the center of our model cannot be new game releases anymore. There's a higher and higher percentage of people who are buying these games digitally for a multitude of reasons, right? It's the same price and it's way more convenient. They may like the fact that they can preload it before launch and just play it as soon as midnight hits, and they don't have to go and stand in line, which we tried to combat somewhat, we had a lot of midnight releases that got converted to 9 p.m. releases so that people could come pick it up early and then play right when the game unlocks. But for whatever reason, more and more people are going to digital, myself included. And so centering your business model around the sale of physical games just isn't going to work. And continuing to double down on the used game market is only going to continue to alienate the hardware makers who rely on your brick and mortar stores to push these consoles, but have more and more options on where to sell these things that don't require them to keep an inventory in your stock room. They can sell them on Amazon. They can sell them on any other digital retailer. They can sell them at Walmart. And these are people who don't try to stamp on other parts of their monetization models, right? So they can't double down on new game sales. They can't double down on used game sales. What are the emerging markets that we can enter into? And that's what GameStop is asking themselves, right? And then two things show their head. Number one is this boutique experience, which I've been saying for years is what GameStop needs to go for. If they could strike a partnership up with like limited run games and say, hey, we would love to sell limited run games in our stores exclusively, and say like each store gets X amount of copies of this game, and or these stores around around the country are going to get them, and like make it an event when these cool, maybe only digital or these cool like cult hits or whatever get a physical release. Like make it an event, make your store these boutique stores, sell retro games and things like that. Like make your store spaces for people to hang out. I walk into a GameStop now, and I'm not joking. Like I get anxiety as soon as I walk in, just because it's wall to wall shit, just packed up. Like I've been looking for a pop. I've been looking for some pops, right? Like, and I like going and looking for them because it's part of the fun. But like, they're on shelves where you can't even like move stuff around to see what's behind it. And some of these stores have their pops like 4 pops deep on the shelf. It's just impossible to look for anything. And then there's absolutely no way to go in there with any intention of buying a collectible item, hoping that they have it. You just really have to go in and browse and hope that that you find what you're looking for, or hope that you stumble across something that you want. But part of the reason I loved working at GameStop was the number of customers who I had come in, who I knew on a first name basis, who talked about video games with me, and the fact that it was a space. And even before I worked at GameStop, some of the things that I loved were like the Madden tournament that was hosted each year at the midnight release, making it event based. Gaming has become more and more community driven around games, around personalities, around hobbies within gaming, around genres. And if you can grow your market in the like e-leagues, right? Create some amateur e-leagues in your area. Like, hey, here, we have an adult Overwatch League. You can sign up to be a part of the team. Maybe you pay an entry fee to get on it. Each person who competes gets this cool thing. We play every weekend, 1 weekend a month, something like that, with a big tournament to end it. Maybe there's a cash prize, something like that. Like something to generate foot traffic to your store, that when people are there, they're like, oh yeah, maybe I'll pick this up. Maybe I'll buy some currency, or buy this game, or pick up this retro console or something like. So I don't know. I like this. I also think GameStop has a unique opportunity to make, and there was some news about this a couple months ago about how they wanted to make inroads in the like amateur kids esports gaming, where they're like, oh, we're the little league of Rocket League. Kids can come, they can play in an organized Rocket League tournament with other people, in much the same way that they can go play Little League or Parks and Rec soccer or whatever. I think that GameStop has some unique opportunities to take advantage of these spaces and to create fans of their brands who may not have been fans before, in the boutique space and in the esports space. 2 emerging markets where people are looking for places to go hang out. Make it community centric. Don't make it so transactional. Oh man. Another thing I hate about walking into a GameStop is the barrage of questions. Also, when's the last time any of you guys have been in a GameStop? Let me know in the chat if you're hanging out, or uh, or on YouTube in the comments if you're watching. Like, honestly, when's the last time you've been? I go in a couple times a month. We're a small town. We like to go in and browse. My wife and I do, but I probably buy something once every 2 months when I'm in. When I was a kid, man, anytime I had a spare coin, I would go. Madbrock says had to go last week and get a new controller. How would you describe your experience when you walked in? How would you describe the customer service experience when you were there? I'm really curious. Because I've got words in mind about how I would describe the customer service experience at GameStop. None. One guy working. Fascinating. What time of day was it? Not to grill you about your GameStop experience, but I'm just curious. Because here's my experience every time I walk into a GameStop. Walk in, beep, 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 the little door chime goes off. It's about 3:30. We normally go around 6:30. Walk in, open up the door. Somebody immediately walks up to me. Hey man, welcome to GameStop. How's it going? You in here for anything in particular? Oh no, I'm just browsing. Well, just to let you know, such and such game is coming out next week. You can pre-order it. We're also actually just now taking pre-orders on Final Fantasy VII. Comes out, at the beginning of 2020. Let me hand you the ad, and then you go up, you do your shopping, and they're always hovering, right? I went in there to buy this headset. I was like, hey, I know what I'm looking for. I know like the general thing of what I'm looking for. I would just like to browse, read the boxes, figure out what it is I'm actually after. And so I'm looking at the wall, and this guy's like, well, are you looking for something that's wireless for this and that? And I'm like, yeah, I'm looking for something that's wireless that can connect to at least my PC and Xbox. If it can't connect wirelessly to the PS4, that's fine. And he's like, oh man, well, if wireless isn't that important to you, here's a great wired one for $30. And I'm like, look, man, I'm looking to spend a substantial amount of money to buy something that is wireless. I have the wire hooked up now because if there's not audio playing through this at all times, it'll shut off after. But I was like, wireless is very important to me. And he's like, all right, well, let me go show you this one. It's wired too, but it's a great headset. Partner says, I tell them to go fuck themselves in a very polite manner, of course. I don't want to come off rude. I try to be that way, man. Like, I try to say, look, I'm just browsing. I'll let you know if I have any questions, but they just like hover. And I get it, right? We got secret shopped all the time when I work there. I don't know if that's the way it is still, but I got secret shopped constantly working there where somebody would come in and you had to give them the right pitches. You had to, offer the right kind of help. You had to try to upsell every sale. So if I knew somebody came in, right, and they had $6 in trade-in credit, and they're like, I want to buy a pre-owned copy of Halo 3. I still had to be like, hey man, you want to try to get the warranty on this? Even though they only had enough to buy the game. Hey man, do you want to, while you're in here, why don't you pick up another controller? Like, I had to try to upsell them. So I get from the employee's perspective. But like, so that's your floor experience, right? Last time I went in there, I was like, I'm just browsing, man. We're not looking for anything in particular. He's like, we got a big summer sale going on. Hold on. He runs up to the front of the store, grabs an ad, hands it to me, and I'm like, man, now I feel like an ass. I got to walk around with this thing in my hand, and I'm just going to leave it on the counter when I go to check out. Like, it's inconvenient. I don't want to hold your stinking paper ad. I can see the signs everywhere saying that there's a sale. I don't need this. Anyway, but then you get to the counter, right? Hey, man, you a Power Up Reward member with us? Yeah, let me give you my number. It's just kidding, not gonna give you my number. Let me give you my number. Oh man, your Power Up Reward card expired. Yeah, it's been expired for like 18 months, man. I don't really have any interest in. Oh man, but you can save like $3 on your purchase just today. It basically pays for itself. I'm like, it doesn't really pay for itself. They're like, all right, well, is there anything coming out that you're looking to pre-order, man? Nope, not really. Well, what systems are you on? Let me print off a list. Let me print off a list of games. That's my favorite. And then like, you got this fucking novel length list of every single game they're taking pre-orders on because I own every platform that you can play on. And they're like, hey man, yeah. Let me print this list off for you. And it's like a dot matrix printer. The customer service experience is terrible. It's terrible. When I was interviewed, they were like, do you ever think that there's such a thing as too much customer service? I said, yeah. They were like, do you want to explain that? I said, I think that it doesn't take an idiot to figure out. I didn't say it exactly like this, but I said it doesn't take an idiot to figure out when you're talking to a customer that they just want to be left alone to look. And I am much more likely to purchase something if somebody's not hovering over me than I am if you're just telling me about everything I touch. We were in there. This was a while ago, but my wife was looking at some stuff, and this dude walks up, and she was like looking at this Breath of the Wild like poster, or I don't remember exactly what it was. It was some sort of Breath of the Wild collectible. And this guy walks up to her and goes, a guy that's working there, he goes, "Now that's from a game called The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild." Like, we got motherfucking Danny O'Dwyer here. He knows everything about video games. He's just dropping knowledge left and right. It's just become a meme among me and my friends. We're like, a little game called Breath of the Wild. But like, hey man, you leave me alone, I'm probably gonna spend money here. All right? I'm much more likely to spend money here if you leave me alone. But yeah, if they can take care of that and make it more of like a hangout space. Like, if I want to talk to you, I'll talk to you. And I'm sure that there's people who come in there and they want to talk about like how much they want to see another Splinter Cell game or anything like that. It did come across as sexist. And my wife took a lot of offense to the fact that this guy came up to her and was like, let me explain to you that this little game is Breath of the Wild. So she took a little offense to that. Like, girls don't know games, yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm not even going to get into like the customer experiences that I had working there. And, you know, we had several, you know, lady employees and the shit that they had to go through and endure working there. But it's the same way when with the dude employees going up to the girls that are shopping. Girls aren't video games. Fact. Dario dropping the hotness in here. Mother just texted me. Oh man. I need to reply to that here in a few minutes. All right. Moving on, guys. I think this is a good direction. I think this is a good direction for GameStop for them to lean into esports and kind of like this boutique retro gaming experience. I'm excited to see how this expands out if they try to recreate some of like the nostalgia that people have for GameStop, right? You can't download an N64 game, and that's their logic, right? It future-proofs you. Like, hey, if this is the place to come to buy N64 games, guess what? You can't download N64 games to play on your N64. We're likely going to be able to download N64 games at some point, right? To play on like our Switch or something. If you're into buying the physical games, you can't download that. So, all right, let's move on. I'm not actually going to show this trailer because it has a copyrighted song in it. But you know, there was yesterday we talked about the Better Together or whatever the event was called for Borderlands 3. It turned out to really be nothing. They just released a really cool trailer that emphasized cooperative play for Borderlands 3. It was just an opportunity to show off some more content. Nothing really new that came out for that. So we're also, you know, running a little late here. We're gonna play Overwatch after this, but I did want to show off this new Xbox One X. You know me, if you've watched the show enough, I am a sucker for hardware. Love it. Love new hardware. I'm like, I have no need for a Nintendo Switch Lite, but I want one. I want one of those blue ones or maybe the gray one, like not that baby piss yellow one, but there was a new Xbox One X NBA 2K20 special edition console that was announced today. You can read about this over on the Major Nelson blog, but I really just want to pull up this, and you can't really see it, can you? And of course, there's no way to expand this image. So let's zoom in, old man style here. What are they calling this? They are calling this the Hyperspace Special Edition console with cyan and magenta night sky design, and it comes with a matching Xbox One wireless controllers. So I don't know how well this is showing up on stream for you guys, but it's like it's flecked with purple and blue, which I guess is cyan and magenta. It looks just kind of like paint splatters, but I don't know, man. I'm a big fan of this kind of color scheme. I really wanted I was so disappointed. I have an Xbox One X. I pre-ordered the Scorpio edition. I wanted the Scorpio edition so bad. I loved that 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 circular gradient that was running across the console. That was really cool to me. But it was when I was like in between jobs. We ran into some hard times, and I had to pull my pre-order money out and pay some bills. I don't know. I would love to have that console because it was just a pretty console. Bardadar says, "Did you get a chance to snag one of those blue 2 TB PS4 Pros?" Are you talking about the ones that came with like the translucent blue controllers? Because I did not. I just have a standard PS4 Pro. I talk a big game about buying these special edition consoles, and it rarely ever happens because I'm never really going to purchase one if I already have one. And I always purchase these consoles when they come out. Like, I canceled the pre-order for this because we needed that money, but by the time the Xbox One X came around, we were back in a good financial spot, and I just bought one. The PS4 Pro, I pretty much bought the day and date that it came out, so there were no special editions that were out. But if I could own any special edition console, it would be the 20th anniversary PlayStation 4. That's my all-time favorite console. Let me pull up a picture of it. PlayStation 4 20th anniversary. But these things were like hella rare, if I remember correctly. And of course, world's tiniest images. Holy cow. All right, here we go. Dude, I love this controller too. I love this gray color scheme. Just super nostalgic, this PlayStation Eye camera, but this thing sold mad fast. There was not a chance I could get my hands on this. This is a listing on Amazon for $1,300. And I ended up buying a silver controller for my PlayStation, but thinking that it would look like this, but it doesn't at all. Like, it's got the back plate on it's a really weird color. But yeah, so good. The problem is I'd want this out, and I know that this is worth a ton of money if it's new in box. Is this one in box? Yeah, this is brand new. I can save 15 cents on it right now, guys. Should I do it? Should I order it? You think my wife would get mad if I bought an almost $1,400 console that I don't intend on opening? All right, we'll click the buy now. 3, 2. Right, I clicked it. Order confirmed. You guys heard it here first. But no, that Xbox One X is awesome, and it matches, you know, the 2K20 cover, which is the hottest 2K cover I've ever seen. So you've got the standard, you know, Anthony Davis, aesthetically similar to all of the others, but then you've got this Miami Vice, teal and pink. I guess this is cyan and magenta as well, of Dwayne Wade, so it matches that aesthetic. I don't know. Xbox One does special edition hardware awesomely. You know what other console I really love is the Fortnite Xbox One S. It's just purple, but it's like a really cool deep purple. Fortnite Xbox One S. Look at this thing. How sexy that thing is. I'm a big fan of purple. I love purple. That controller in and of itself is awesome. Do they sell this controller separately? Oh, I also forgot there was this. This was the special edition that launched with Gears 4, and then there was the Gears 4 special edition, Gears 4 special edition. Xbox was that a 1X or was that just the 1S? That had like. It's just a 1S. It has the cool scar marks, but these are like physically etched into it. Gosh, I could go down a rabbit hole on special edition consoles. This one came out along with this badass Elite controller while I was working at GameStop. And if the hourly rate of GameStop could absorb the cost of me purchasing $160, Elite controller, I would have done it. That's the thing that sucks about working at GameStop, guys. You get to see all the cool shit that comes in and you want to purchase it, but then you look and you're like, oh man, I make like $9 an hour. I make $9 an hour. I can't buy all this. The blue PS4. I bought 2 and scalped 1 to pay for it. Oh, was it that rare? How much did you sell the second one for? Not to pry. I'm just really interested. I didn't realize the blue one was that rare. Blue special edition. This one had the translucent case too, didn't it? Yeah. This thing is badass. This one's $700 pre-owned on eBay. Opened. I hate how it's pre-owned. They only release. That's right. They only release 50,000 of them. And oh, it also had the blue PSI. Oh. I love hardware, guys. But I wish that they would I wish when they launched consoles, they would have a special edition to go along with the launch. Like the Xbox One Scorpio edition, right? Because I am much more I would pay an extra $50-$100 to get a special edition console that looks awesome. Because I'm just a sucker for that shit. Take advantage of me, Microsoft. PlayStation, Sony, I'm willing to give you the money. Just release the special editions. But that's cool, man. That's a good strategy. I know that a lot of people frown on oh, you shouldn't scalp shit. You should leave it up for people who are real fans of it. And it's hey, if you can afford to buy 2 of them and sell one of them at an outrageous price because it's rare, have at it. I know that's probably unpopular opinion, but especially if there's 50,000 of them, right? 50,000 is a reasonable enough number for you to buy 2 of them. Never scalped something like that before. I've never scalped anything before either. So the only time I ever had a similar incident to that, and it wasn't even that, it was just me panicking on whether or not they would have an additional console, was at the launch of the PlayStation 4. I pre-ordered mine the day that it was announced that you could pre-order it. My brother, on the other hand, who is 7 years older than me and 7 years younger in responsibility. I'm just kidding. My brother's very responsible. He's about to have his 4th kid. Which that actually may be irresponsible. I don't. Anyway, he did not pre-order a PlayStation. He's like, man, I'm calling around to all these places in my city and I just cannot find one. Can you see if they have any additional PlayStation 4s at your GameStop? I was like, yeah, I will. So, and this was before I worked there. So I went and they were like, yeah, we're handing out tickets. If you get a ticket, you got to stand outside and hope that. Actually, no, they said we have three extra ones. You would be ticket number 2, but you got to stay here the entire time while you wait. So I waited from 4 in the afternoon to midnight with my brother's ticket to pick up his PlayStation 4 for him because he didn't pre-order his. Now I say that I did it begrudgingly. I was happy to do it. I love the experience of midnight releases and the hype of waiting, but I was also I kind of avoided this because I wanted to I wanted to sleep in the afternoon so I could stay up all night playing Call of Duty Ghosts or whatever, right? But anyway, so ended up getting him one as well, and he took me out to an awesome steak dinner, so we're even on that, to a fancy Brazilian steakhouse. Gaucho is walking by with just skewers of meat. So anyway, guys, get that Xbox One X one and just that special edition and just send me pictures of it. Make me envious because I can't justify purchasing a special edition console right now. Can't do it. But all right, guys, it's 10:15, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show now. This has been the PvA Nightly Rundown. We get together each and every weeknight over here on twitch.tv/PvA Radio at 9 o'clock to run you through all of the gaming news that you may have missed throughout the day so that you don't look like a fucking idiot at the water cooler tomorrow when somebody's like, I heard they're not coming out with any more Xbox One X special edition consoles, and you're just over there like, yeah, I heard that too. It's called the Hyperspace Edition. Blue and purple, or cyan and magenta. If you want to watch us live, you can do that over here on twitch.tv/PvA Radio. If you want to, if you can't catch us live and just want to watch the VOD, you can watch us on youtube.com/PvA Radio. And if you just care about certain segments, you can go to youtube.com/PvA Radio and just look for any of the thumbnails that look like this, that have the PvA Nightly Rundown in the corner. That is just the segments. You can also go to our playlists, and you can see all of the playlists for the PvA Daily Rundown for episode 24 there. There'll be one for episode 25 when you go there tomorrow morning. So, lots of ways to watch. I'm excited about all the content that we're doing. We appreciate you guys checking us out. Make sure you subscribe, thumbs up, leave a comment below, all of that good stuff. If you're watching over here on Twitch, stick around. We're going to be playing some Overwatch placement matches. But until next time, guys, we love you. Goodbye.